see, I really needed that open road this morning. So I actually came over here just to get that open road feeling. And it is Tuesday today. I think the sun actually rose this morning around 6:50 something, if I'm correct. There was a full moon last night, which I missed. I was sleeping. So the full moon is actually in full set of moments. So that's amazing. I was actually reading some articles that talked about how the moon is actually in. Is it in Scorpio right now? Yeah, so it's really interesting just looking at all these ideologies and all these things behind this thing called the moon that we barely pay attention to. We barely pay attention to the moon or what it does. We just, and I won't say everybody, but most of us sort of just look at the moon. As a matter of fact, it's almost taboo to talk about the moon and say greeting the moon to some individuals. So, which is kind of just like, wow. So it's really amazing just looking at it from that concept. And it's just funny to me. But, like they always say, it is what it is. But I, for one, I'm beginning to sort of just look at things differently. And the moon, the sun, all those things just sort of amazes me. And I also know that if the sun did not come out for a certain period of time, we are definitely in trouble. So that is just so amazing how faithful those entities can actually be. I was doing what my Uncle Richard talked about 2 days ago because I was really inspired by it. So, and even though this has always been a chant when I'm on my feet like this and just running, I try to repeat, because I always say to myself, what would it be like to actually focus my mind on one thing? What about if I never had this opportunity again to do this? I've always wanted to say, okay, I'm just going to get up and run 26 miles. Yeah, and I said to myself, what about if I never had that time? So as my life began to progress, shall I say, everything else that I tried, I always have a little bump in the head, setback, except for just getting up and go for a little stroll, jog, /run. That's the only thing that never, ever let me down, should I say, or left. Everything else just left me. And even when I tried to confirm and leave it alone, it just wouldn't. So I just decided that, after many, many years of bumping your head, maybe it's time you listen. So I now just get up and just go for it. And during that moment also, I get to think about a lot of things. Yeah, and I started to pick up this thing called the camera and just like view my opinion, just expressing myself. And it's sort of the good thing about this new millennia, whatever we call it, that we're in, is everybody's voice can be heard right now. It is no excuse not to study or to do your own research anymore. I think it's gone in them days when we could be taught something without having a clue of what it is and just believe it. Gone are them days where they could come and just, like, for example, I've been saying this, the Geographical Channel used to be the expert on Africa. It's almost like everything that they showed those days was just like, wow. But like now, YouTube, really, Instagram and all that, they really take you to the core of Africa. They take you into the villages and you see cities. I've been asked a question before, that do you guys wear clothes in Africa? I'm just sitting there laughing my head off like, wow. But of course, my I'll call him, he's like a big guy too. Big uncle, shall I call him? He wasn't being mean. It's just the era that he was raised in, and he's from a beautiful, beautiful place called Mississippi, and that's just what he's been taught. So it's just no excuse. There's no way I can get upset about stuff like that, because I started to realize my own ignorance too, because I realized there's a lot of things I was ignorant about before, and now when I look at it, I just can't stop laughing. The whole thing is funny to me. Like, what the biscuit was I thinking of? Is my favorite word now. Hey, you biscuit kidding me? So, that being said, another beautiful day this morning. Wake up as usual. I also developed a form to where I just let my whole body become relaxed. Let me go through here with the biscuit. My whole body just becomes really, truly relaxed into this, what I'm doing. So what I actually did is every morning I get up, I do my first 50 push-up, then I'll sit cross-legged and read a book. And when I start to get some discomfort in my back, I stop the reading, do another 50 push-ups, then I do the other legs, then I begin to meditate. Then it's just every push-up is meditate, every push-up is yoga, every push-up is a stretch. So, because I'm like, wow, this is the really essence of yoga, is to do the push-ups so you actually get tired. And when you cannot push anymore, you get over there and stretch your body and breathe into that body. And that's how you accumulate that chi. So, once I do that, I come out. Then, during the runs, I will stop every 5 miles, do another 50 push-ups, stretch my body, and keep on going. So, I do mile 5, mile 10, mile 15, then mile 25, then finish the whole 26 miles. So it's just a lot of things that really goes into it, because this isn't all about running, or no, it's an endurance form, which I call it spiritual fitness, where I'm even amazed that I remember when I could not even do one push-up. Then I went to 2, 20. So I'm thinking, are you telling me that I could actually put myself into a state where I could actually do 20 push-ups every time I do push-ups? And I'm talking about on a yoga mat very slowly. And what it does, it opens your chakras that many of us talked about. It requires a lot of hard work. A lot of physical pushing. So anything is like blowing a balloon. That's how chi develops in our body. You just realize one day you're doing one push-up, then you do 2, then you do 20. By the time I realize that you want to lift a lot more heavy objects, and without realizing it. So I had listened to this yogi who said to get stronger is the amount of push-up that you do in the morning. And I'm just looking at him thinking, you got to be kidding me. So I began to implement that lifestyle, especially after my little setback, with the fender with a car. So I began to use that, and it is funny. Yoga is a journey, because once you begin to do those push-ups with your stretching, you could be stuck at a stage where all you could do is just do 10 push-ups every day. And you have to keep on doing it over and over and over. It requires so much discipline that a book cannot even explain. It is just one of those disciplines. It is a whole day thing. And when we talked about it, we talked about it lightly. But the thing is, those things, those energy, those chi, like the monks always call it, the Chinese or whatever, you know, it is absolutely real. That energy is right there within us. The only thing is, it will take more than the word of the mouth for it to transpire into the body. It is one of the most disciplined thing that I've ever done in my whole entire life. And what it does is it changes your brain. All the chemicals that flow into my brain are a lot different from most people's, because it's a lot different from what most people let go into their brains. Excuse me. So what those things does, your thinking is different, you know, and it brings you out of your ignorance. And once you come out of that ignorance, you realize that you are truly metaphysical being. That energy is just right there. But I just think because of the way our culture is designed, we barely have time to do those things. And especially the meditation thing. I'm actually going, Miss Anita, good morning. And another thing that I always say to people is to write with your opposite hand. Writing with your opposite hand is so unique. And I'm just saying this because usually writing with your opposite hand. And when you get to that stage where you could write things down and you cannot show nobody, it's not because you are being secretive. There are just some things when you write it down, nobody's eyes can see it but yours. That is when you reach your one of your higher selves. And I think that's been taken away from us by sometimes what I call psychology, or sometimes religious doctrines, because they're just some things you could only share with your higher self. It's not because you've been secretive. And I think that's where the balance is, because we also need to talk to people, which we know, but we also have the ability in us to know when to talk to people and when not to talk to people. I think those things sometimes has been taken away because we love people that we can control. So, and I always say this thing too, that if you do not love yourself, you can never get along with me. Yeah, because you're just gonna clash with me. Because how can you like someone or care for someone when you do not love yourself? So, and that's just the way I look at things. And the more I think, especially on my feet, that is just a phenomenal thinking, because when I'm just strolling along these days, it's becoming more of just a conscious thing. And it's, mind you, I think this is going to be marathon number 16 or 17, whichever one it is. And it's just very funny to me how many years ago I never thought I'll be able to do something like this, just running one marathon alone, let alone running it every day. Good morning, madam. Have a great day. Hey! He probably just wants to say hello. I know, that's what it is. So, yes, even the animals can feel my energy these days. So, I'm in a beautiful setting. The sun is actually rising more. And I always say this: find your own spiritual path. There is something about getting up every single day to do yoga, meditate, and sit still. When you do it for 6 months, you could take a class, watch a YouTube video. As you can see, I'm jumping topics right now. Once you begin to have this thing in the morning where you sit still for yourself and have time for yourself, it creates a balance. I am not saying everybody, but as a human being, I do not think we are actually designed to just get off of bed and just jump in the shower and walk out of the house. It is just not the way you're made. And it is okay, because in our culture here, some people just don't even know that it's not normal. And that's what I love about the pets, the dogs, the cats. You will never see a cat or a dog get up without doing their little stretching. Absolutely impossible. And as much as we love these animals, it's almost like we don't learn from them. We have gotten that thing in our head that makes us believe that we are actually better than these animals. But these animals are intelligent. They never, ever get up without stretching. Absolutely amazing if they can do that. They just know when to do it. Everything, that's the first thing they do in the morning is stretch. Stretch their body. It is funny how every time I'm meditating in the morning and I'm breathing on top of my lungs, and they're just pulling in that energy. And I've heard it being talked about many, many places. And I'm just sitting down there thinking that, wow, it is real. But to do those things, your body also needs to be in a setting. How do I say it? There's a certain physical ability that you gotta be in, because if you are sometimes not taking care of that body, it is very hard. Look at that beautiful place. Actually very hard to breathe into your body. That chi, that air that you're breathing. And that's what I keep on saying. When you look at a woman giving birth, all she does is breathe. They were saying, breathe, breathe. When we get into anything that is traumatizing to us, that's what they say. Breathe, baby, breathe. And why we don't breathe every morning, it is beyond me. A wise man once told me this, that we are in the backwards culture, and I'm thinking, what the biscuit does it mean? And sometimes some things that we do does make it look like that, because why we don't breathe into our body, I don't understand it. And every time that I'm doing this, how do I say this? Many think it's all about the running. I don't see myself as a runner, because this thing is beyond running for me. It's something that I just do just because. I am not trying to get in shape. I'm just practicing self-realization. And we fall in love with different things. For me, I fell in love with this thing called nature and spirituality, metaphysics. All those type of things is what I become passionate about. And what it does, it took me many years, because I was getting my master's and PhD in at the school of conformity, where I follow everyone else. Those are my core classes: follow people. Do what they tell me to do. I was really good at that. I got an A in all my classes. Then I also bump a lot of heads too. But when I dropped out of those classes and stopped doing my own thing, I realized everyone is an individual person. And I'm just using that formal PhD / degree because that's what we all do. We neglect our own voice. Good morning. How you doing? We neglect that voice that speaks to us all the time. We are so afraid of being alone. Morning. So we make ourselves miserable. And don't get me wrong, loneliness doesn't start out pretty. But as you begin to trek along with this life, you realize there is nothing such as loneliness. You can never be alone. Never ever be alone. Because your thoughts are there. I just don't think that word loneliness, I think it's just kind of just a fear thing. You can, especially as long as you live in the community, just because you spend time by yourself alone, you can never ever be alone. And sometimes realizing that is part of an elevation. It's also funny how I can just look at people's eyes. I can literally read their thinking. I don't claim myself to be a psychic, but for many years, I truly started to look at body languages. Because our body language is how we stood, the postures. It really describes who we are as a human being. You could just look at people. The way we write. Just our writing. Because there's power in that fingers. I can read someone's writing and pretty much know what's going on in their head or in their life. And I think what's very funny is when you become in tune like that, people get angry. So the question becomes, how do you know? No, people just get angry just because they're amazed that how can you do that? But the truth is, they have the same ability. It's just because of the way they eat and what they put in their system. So that ability cannot be tapped into. So yes, that's what I was thinking of this morning. I truly believe in order to learn about consciousness and all these beautiful things about us, it has to start from within. The within is where the answer is. Sometimes it can be difficult, but trust me, there's a lot of people that is seeking within. The only thing is, the people that seek within, most of them are quiet. The only people who are more in the mainstream are the ones who are seeking from outside. And when we seek from outside, look at that sun, that beautiful sun. When we seek from outside, it's a lot easier than seeking from within. So you hear a lot of noises when people are seeking from outside. And that noise and the emotional interpretation of it, you have to be a fool not to fall for it too. So in that sense, it's all about getting in tune with yourself. Whatever it is that you're looking for is right there on your abdomen. And when I keep saying that, on your abdomen is where it is. That little belly button is there for a reason. That is where most of your questions and answers lay. That little belly button. And that's why it's very important to do your own research, read about it, look at this pretty stuff, and yes, that's what I was mourning about this morning. Other than that, let me go ahead and finish this easy 26 miles today. Probably still got turn around and go get this. I have this little four-legged friend that I walk with too, a dog. So I'll walk a couple of miles with him, then go ahead and finish up. But until then, I'm just gonna say, well, happy Tuesday. It's a beautiful day here. Loving this weather. Look at that pretty sight. We'll probably need some rain because it's a little dry over there. Other than that, happy Tuesday. And let me slow down a little bit here. Let me look at myself. How do I look? Oh, I'm still looking nice. So happy Tuesday. And Miss Teresa, I really appreciate you. You are sending me some shoes from England, and I want to let you know I am grateful for it. So here's one of my friends from England sending me some shoes. I feel we're posted in the same running group, and she's going to send me some brand new shoes. I don't know why, but I'm gonna say thank you, and I look forward to seeing the shoes.